Welcome back. You're listening to the Keeping Your Money Show with Jamie Westenbarger. Retiring successfully rarely happens by accident, so don't leave something as important as your retirement to chance. Now you can sit down face-to-face with Jamie Westenbarger for a complimentary consultation or second opinion. Call Jamie at 888-98-MONEY to set up your appointment. That's 888-986-6639. And now, here are your hosts, Jamie Westenbarger and Bart Steinler.
All right, welcome back to the Keep Your Money Show. I'm Jamie Westenbarger, joined as always by Bart Steinler. If you're just tuning in, we were talking about 13 useless things you need to stop wasting your money on. Later on, we're going to have Adam Kylan in talking about special needs trusts, as well as a discussion on second homes and how the prices of mini second homes are actually going down. What does that mean to the overall real estate market? If you ever want to give us a call, you can do so at 888-98-MONEY. That's 888-986-6639. You can also find us on Facebook. If you go to Facebook and search for Keeping Your Money, you'll find our page there. If you like it, you'll get updates throughout the week about the stuff we're going to talk about on the show, our events, things like our golf outing, all available there. And of course, you can find those on our website at keepingyourmoney.com as well. So I stumbled across this story about a billionaire. His name is Tillman Fertitta. I honestly know very little about Mr. Fertitta, except that he's worth about $3 billion. So that's pretty good. He's actually the guy, you may have seen this CNBC show where people have the ability to, try and sell stuff to him because he owns a large restaurant and hospitality empire, about 500 properties across the country. So he's an interesting guy. But what he was talking about was the fact that kind of the concept of borrowing money, right?
Right.
And we've talked about this many times on the show. If you're a client or you've ever met and talked to Bart and I, we've probably brought this up because there's a number of people out there who maybe do radio shows or write books or do television programs or whatever. And many people that follow them that really espouse the idea of you should never have debt. That is the evil to end all evils, and the only way to success is to be debt-free. And although I understand that many times being debt-free makes a lot of sense, I think it's wrong to paint debt as this evil villain. Because if you grow up or live in a wealthier family, the conversation on debt is always going to be that debt can be a tool. Borrowing money is a means to an end for under certain circumstances. If you grow up middle class like I did, my parents both work in the factory, debt was this horrible, weight over their heads their whole lives that they tried to dig out from under. So it gives you a completely different outlook on it. And I think a lot of people feel that way, right? Their student loans. My student loans, It's not that the student loan allowed you to get the degree that will make you $2 million more over your lifetime than if you didn't have one. It's that I have to make this payment every month. And what this gentleman says is a tip that he was given early on in his life is probably some of the best advice he ever got. And what he says about the advice is borrow money when you don't need it. And his idea behind it is it's always good to have cash on hand. Liquidity is one of the most important things for you to be successful in life. And what this kind of ties into that we talk about a lot of times, Bart, is people will immediately pay something off because they can.
Right.
Or they will sacrifice in other areas of their lives to get the house paid off or to get the student loan paid off or whatever. But in reality, a lot of times that will leave them very vulnerable from a liquidity standpoint because they're taking every dollar that they possibly can and applying it to this debt situation. And then many times they find themselves short on cash or in an emergency where they need money. And the only way they can get that money is to go into debt again, generally under less favorable terms than what they probably had for the original debt.
Right. I'm going to say most of the people that have created substantial wealth have done it by investing in something. Okay. So perhaps that's not true if maybe you're a famous actress or athlete or actor or something like that. But most of the rest of the world, you've invested in something. And if you've invested in something, you're going to do better at it if you can purchase it when things are distressed. So if you are, say, in the hospitality business and there's a period of time when the hospitality business is distressed, you can pick up additional properties for less money. So if you're liquid and you have the ability to do that, you can buy these things when they're inexpensive, and then when times are better, you can sell them and create wealth that way. Mm-hmm. So it's true with hospitalities, properties. It's true with other types of real estate. It's true in the stock market.
Well, the market's a perfect example, yeah. Bart. Let's look at. I had a gentleman come in a couple years ago. His claim to fame and what he was excited about was at least he had the foresight. His words. At least he had the foresight to pay off his house before the market crashed in 2008. Okay. Now, I understand why he thought that, okay? Mm-hmm. But if we look at the additional $150,000 that he had paid into this house to get it paid off, so that in 2008 when the market crashed, he did not have any capital to then invest in one of the most amazing bull markets of all time, right?
Right.
He had it in his house. And the problem with the idea of paying off your house is, if you think about two columns for me, and you think about one column is your house with a mortgage, let's say it's a $200,000 mortgage, and the other column is a bank account in which you have $200,000. Now, from the standpoint of if your house were paid off or not, it's basically just as good to have your house paid off, because you could always write a check from that column of the bank account anytime you wanted. But the difference is if you found yourself in an emergency situation where you needed access to cash, you have an account with $200,000 in it that you can take money out of. If you don't have that money and your house is paid off, how do you access the equity from that home?
You have to beg the bank for it.
You do. Because if you need it bad enough, you're probably a poor credit risk.
Right.
You're probably someone they don't want to give money to. And that was his point in what he was talking about here is when you have the ability to get a line of credit, you get it. Even if you don't use it a lot, you get it, because someday you may need that line of credit. And when you do, no one's going to want to give it to you. And it's the same thing we see with like mortgages. Like if you owe $200,000 on your house at 3% interest, just consider the interest you're paying on that, the price for liquidity, because it's better for you to have the $200,000 extra if you need it for something. And a perfect example of that is all of the commercials that pepper daytime TV. If you've ever watched any daytime TV, you will see every 1970s and 80s TV star pitching reverse mortgages. And you ask yourself, why are there so many reverse mortgage companies out there? Because there are so many people with paid off homes that need money. And unfortunately, if you get in a situation where reverse mortgage is where you're going to get that money for, you're going to pay way more to get that money out than you would have had you had it out of the whole time.
There's always a concept too of the value of your future dollar, because of inflation, your dollar buys more today than it's going to buy in 15 years if we continue to have inflation, which
Sure.
we highly likely will. So if you are going to pay off your house today, you're paying it off with dollars that are worth more. And if you're going to pay it off a little bit at a time, you're going to be paying it off with dollars that have less purchasing power. So why not pay it off with those cheaper dollars in the future instead of the more valuable dollars currently?
Mm-hmm. And if you need any more proof of that, look across the country at some of the most successful people out there, and I think you'd be shocked at how many of them carry mortgages on their homes, how many of them have lines of credit at their business. Having liquidity is one of the most important things that can happen to you. Doesn't mean you go into retirement with a mortgage on your home, but it also means you don't pay it off at 45 when the interest rate's 3%. It just doesn't generally make sense for people to do that. And if you want more information on it, or you want to look at your situation, you'd like us to do an analysis for you, we're happy to do that. Just give us a call, 986-6639. All right, coming up, Adam Kylan's going to be in talking about special needs trusts right here on the Keep Your Money Show.